Hey guys, welcome back to the Recovery Lab. On this week's episode of Cue the Lab, we're going to talk about if full body manipulations are necessary.
We're going to talk about using an intro rate for our new clients and our take on that.
Does ligament damage heal on its own?
Tumeric for recovery.
Strategies for dealing with professional burnout.
And our treatment approach for flat feet. All right, stick around and I hope you guys enjoy the show.
Bang, baby.
How we doing, guys? Welcome back. Recovery Lab Live, kicking off your Friday night, right? And the feeling's all right.
What's up, everybody?
Some recovery. So we're gonna get right into it today. So we had a YouTube question. Ryan Kiernan, part of the YouTube fam of subscribers. He was asking us about full body manipulations because I guess he's seen some other YouTube channels where that is common, and he was asking, is it necessary, or is it like a quick fix that's just like a money maker? So
Your take on that?
I think everything has its time and place. You know, I don't do manipulations. You know, so it's not my wheelhouse. So I haven't really used it as a treatment intervention. So it's hard to give like anecdotal evidence on that. Here's what I will say: most people don't need every joint in their body cracked. I have a feeling that is more fanfare than anything else. I think there's something oddly pleasurable to people. I think about getting something cracked. It feels like, oh God, you must have fixed it because it cracked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a little relief.
Right.
To it.
So are joint manipulations necessary? I think they are the same thing as any other manual therapy, which is an opportunity to create a neurological window. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So people do feel better.
Yeah.
Right? They feel better after it's done, but I don't think you could just stop there. You're not cracking somebody and fixing something.
Right.
You can't just send them on the way, okay, you're good because you're realigned. You know, so I think if you're using that as a means to get to better movement, and you're using that to get to an exercise or get to a movement protocol, then great. Then why not? If it works for you, awesome. It's not my wheelhouse, it's not in my skill set, so I don't really do it all that much.
Yeah, right.
I've seen some YouTube channels, you know, when I was getting our YouTube started, obviously researching and looking at other people and what they were doing, see what videos were successful. They are wildly entertaining. I won't lie to you. It's like for every condition that walks through the door, it's the same like crack, pop, snap, you know, crackle, and off you go. And how do you feel? Oh, I feel better. Well, it's all awesome. You know, I guess as long as people are getting better, that's all I care about. You know what I mean? So if you're one of those guys that's just cracking stuff and you're getting people better, thumbs up to you. You know what I mean?
Two thumbs.
Double thumbs. Boom, boom.
But as a soul treatment,
I don't think it's a good soul treatment. I think if you're just cracking somebody and that's the end of the day, then I think then you're just making money, and you may, or maybe not making money. You're definitely not making people better doing that. You know what I mean? So, you know, I very rarely will work on somebody and not have. In fact, I don't do that at all. I don't give people manual therapy treatments and not have them on some kind of program for exercise.
Right.
Maybe some of my bodybuilders that are generally injury-free, that they're happy with their current, they just want me to get in and do some deep tissue work, and you know, for either aesthetics or for, you know, just feel good blood flow, you know. But outside of that, everybody gets programming. I think that's the key.
Cool.
So
what do you think of having an intro rate for first hour treatment?
I do have an intro rate for first hour treatments. It's $99.
What do you think of it?
I think it's great. It actually works fantastic for me.
Yeah.
Because people, so I do an eval treat for an hour session.
Another question from Matt. We'll get into that after this.
I do an eval treat for an hour. I like to spend a lot of time with people on the first day. People have questions, they have concerns. I like to let them talk about their issue, whatever they're here to talk about, you know, whatever they're here for.
Yeah.
I like to let them air it out and, like, you know, feel like they're being heard.
Sure.
And the $99 I feel like is enough money to cover the cost of the time, but it's not going to exclude anybody. Most people can afford $100 to get some information, and plus I include the treatment in there, so they're like, oh, again, I'm getting treated too. So absolutely, Ricky, it's a great way. I definitely think you should be paid for your time, but giving somebody a little bit of a discounted rate might get them through the door, and then it gives you the opportunity to educate that person and share with them how you can help them, right? So that's what I use my intro rate for. And then when people ask me about pricing, I go, I have packages that'll fit any budget and any schedule, which is the truth. I think we've done a good job in Recovery Lab of covering all the bases for even somebody who really can't afford it. I think our rates are generally very, very affordable and fair. I try to keep it as inclusive as possible so that I can treat it and help as many people as we can.
And look, you're learning a lot of things that you may have not known about your body.
Sure.
So it's a very, very beneficial education session
for the client.
And then
absolutely.
you're getting for the client.
Yeah.
And then absolutely. You're getting a lot of work.
Listen, I've had people that do the intro session, for whatever reason, financial constraints, schedule constraints, couldn't sign up for a treatment pack right away, and then a month or two later, cycle back around and say, hey, listen, I really want to get going. Sometimes it's just people need to marinate, they need to save up a little bit because they want to be consistent.
Right.
So I try to meet people where they're at as best I can.
Yep.
I hope that answers your question, but definitely do it, man. It's a great way to bring people through the door, and it shows them that you're not all about profiteering.
Yeah. If a partial tear heals on its own incorrectly, I don't know if that's possible. I don't know. That's what he says. Will there be future issues with that part? Referencing old left leg PCL partial tear. I think that was from football when he was returning a punt return.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, so.
Right. Okay. So we're talking about a ligament.
Yep.
Ligament, muscles, different
yes.
healing capabilities. PCL tear. Will it heal on its own? Not really. No. Yeah, it won't. It won't. A ligament really won't fuse back together. Although there are some new surgical procedures that are showing a lot of merit. Actually, a pediatric surgeon in Texas designed this sponge material that you can inject, basically like what a PRP essentially would be, basically a super concentrated dose of blood for ACL reconstruction. They're showing that the ACL will actually heal. Problem is that ligament doesn't have the best blood supply. It does have blood supply, it's maybe not the best. And think about it remember, your joint is filled with fluid. So when that ligament tears, it's just these little strands kind of floating in that fluid. So there's no ability for fusion to happen. So that's what they're kind of doing is, you threading this sponge through, essentially suturing the ligament back together and encasing it in this spongy material filled with your own blood and healing factors. And they're showing really, really good results with that. So no, your PCL won't heal on its own. Remember, the ligaments are holding the bones together. They have a neurosensory component to them, so they are responsible for sending some messages to your central nervous system. But your musculature is the primary stabilizer. I think people forget that all the time. It's when your musculature fails to do its job in maintaining the congruency of a joint, that's when the ligament gets exposed and that's when you tear it. So, if you've got that PCL issue or you're compromised there, you want to work on strengthening the musculature that's going to prevent that posterior tibial glide or translation, which would be your quad. Your calf on some level will help with that. So, really controlling that knee well. Look at the hip, look at the ankle, same thing. Don't just stop there.
Yeah.
Continue down and up the chain and work on the stuff as necessary.
So future issues with that.
You could.
There's going to be a few, maybe.
There's no crystal ball here, but I don't, listen, man, personal experience, I tore my ACL, PCL, MCL, meniscus, have some chondral defects in my knee. The surgeon went in and found that the PCL was only partially torn, and when he said partially torn, he meant 90%. So it was pretty much torn all the way. He cleaned it up, air quotes again, cleaned it up, and left it alone. And I haven't had any knee issues really since. I mean, I have on and off because the knee is quite compromised, but since I was able to address some of my other movement problems, the knee has been solid. And that was 2004, 13 years ago. Still rocking strong. Got hardware in there that should have came out a few years ago, but it hasn't because it hasn't bothered me. So ligament won't heal on its own, but you definitely can make improvements elsewhere.
Your opinion on turmeric for recovery?
Love it.
Turmeric for... I knew you were going to say
love it. So again, going back to even piggybacking off what Yao said, I take the PN infographic for injury recovery, and I include that as part of my initial consultation. This is actually, we're like just threading all these questions together now.
Synergistically coming together.
Did you guys plan this out ahead of time? Anyway, so in my initial evaluation, I will give people, or when they buy a treatment pack, I will give them the PN Nutrition Recovery Guide if it's appropriate for them. So like somebody who's really acute, or maybe they've had chronic pain and inflammation, I will give them that guide so that they can add that nutritional component to their recovery. And I very often will recommend, especially through Thorne Research Labs, which is our nutrition supplement company that we use, their Meriva curcumin. I think curcumin is not created equal across the board. You're looking for Meriva curcumin, which is more bioavailable. Okay? Yeah, fantastic. The research has been really good. You know, people feel better, but there are definitely some money-grabbing people out there with curcumin supplements that are pretty much garbage. So look for Meriva curcumin or something that's NSF certified so that you know it is what it is. But definitely love it. Highly recommend it. No downside. Cool. Great question. Love it.
That was a great question. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused or have lost your energy or focus temporarily, what do you do?
Ooh, man.
That's a solid
wow,
question.
That's deep. And and again, this is something that I definitely have dealt with recently. You know, I've dealt with burnout at various stages in my career, and I think that's kind of what he's speaking to, is a little bit of burnout.
Burnout, focus.
It's hard. Sometimes, you can't be. It's really hard to be 100% on all the time, and that's something I really pride myself on. Is when I'm in a session that I bring as much energy to that session, even when I'm feeling like crap. So part of it's mindset, I think. It's just, you got to have that attitude. When I'm feeling crappy and I get to amp,
I like that.
When I open the door, I leave that shit at the door. And I walk in and, I smile, I puff up my chest, take some breaths, and I'm, and I get right in it. And I think my clients keep me motivated. The staff here keeps me motivated. Anthony keeps me motivated. And I think if you surround yourself with really good people, that happens a little bit less. You don't feel so burnt out because you have that support system. You know what? I'm having a really rough day. And this happened recently. I was having a hard day. My hands were a bit sore because I've done a lot of sessions. And Anthony stepped up and he was able to take a little bit of the load off me. Then we had a little bit of a break. He's like, Mike, get on the table. Let me work on you. You know what I mean? So like when you have people around you that are pushing in the same direction, that want to see you succeed, then you will succeed. Mindfulness stuff is something I've been getting into recently. Try a float tank, try meditation, try, like guided meditation, try, anything that's going to help you decompress. One of the things I love to do when I'm really wound up, I go camping for one night. I find that sleeping on the ground for one night, like, instantly snaps me into perspective. There's no phone, campfire, keep it real simple, and a little bit of nature, hear it in the background, seeing a beautiful sunrise in the morning. Every time I go camping, I come back with amazingly sharper perspective.
That's interesting.
And it's always really helped me deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah, man. And like I said, the camping thing for me is like always cool. Great. If you're into that kind of stuff, like a really hard hike, camp for the night.
That's a nice trick right there.
It's awesome. I'm a big fisherman. I love fishing.
Yeah.
I love kayaking, so I like kayak fishing. That's my outlet. You know what I mean? I live in Long Beach, on Long Island. You know what I mean? So the ocean and the bay is in my backyard. Not now, I can't do it, but if I'm feeling stressed, man, I carve out some time for myself, a few hours. And even if I don't catch anything, man, just being out on the kayak and everything's calm and nice and quiet, and it gives me a chance to gain some perspective and just think, get my thoughts out.
Yep.
And it's a great way to kind of decompress. I think you got to find something that interests you. Maybe that's not your job. Is maybe a good strategy.
Yeah, something completely different.
Something completely different.
What
just
I like to
gears.
do.
Yeah. What do you like to do?
And say if I'm studying and I just need a break,
Yeah.
or I'm fine. I'm just having a hard time. I'll throw on some music.
Cool.
Music is a game changer for me. Put them in, and I'll go for a walk.
That's awesome.
Like a nice long walk.
With a dog? Do you take the dog?
With my dog, without my dog, usually with my dog.
Right.
Throw the headphones in, but the music is a key contributor.
I like that too,
Music
man.
instantly changes my mood.
Cool.
So if I listen to some good tunes or a throwback album into a good time, it'll take me to
so many
some good memories.
strategies. I want to try a float tank. I have a a certificate to do a float tank. I really want to try that.
Sensory deprivation.
You know, and just kind of experience it. You know, I think that's the thing. And if you don't have that one thing that you like, then go try some different stuff. Take a yoga class, take a guided meditation class, try a float tank, go for a hike, go for a walk, try some music. Do something that maybe you've seen it works for other people or something that you like, and then go for it, man. So go for a drive. I mean, there's so many different ways to go about that, but I think if you find that other thing like we've been talking about, it can definitely be helpful.
Treatment approach for pes planus. So, like...
Pes planus is flat feet. Nobody's born with flat feet. Flat feet are required due to crappy movement and crappy shoes. So...
Orthotics?
No. Well, again, there's a time and a place for everything. But one of my pet peeves is I get people in here that say, "Oh, I need the orthotic." Well, why do you need the orthotic? Oh, because my podiatrist said I need it. Well, your podiatrist also is charging you $700 every 6 months for those orthotics. So, you think he's got something to gain by telling you that you need them? Arches are created in the hip, okay? So if you don't control your femur well, you're going to overpronate and flatten that arch out. Okay, so again, ankle dorsiflexion, you know, hip stability and strength becoming extremely important. So I like to say that like arches are created in the hip and stabilized in the foot, right? So your foot intrinsic muscles, you know, you can do toe curls till the cows come home. If you can't control that hip, you're wasting your time. You know, but if you can screw that hip in and take some slack out of it and get that glute engaged and create that arch and then lock it in with some positional isometrics for your deep toe flexors, now you're talking. Now you're talking. Can you control that internal rotation of your femur well? Start there. If you got flat feet, start there. You can take a top-down or a bottom-up approach. Top-down approach would be address the hip. Bottom-up approach would be let's work on some subtalar glides and get your ankle dorsiflexion working a little bit better so that we're not stealing that range from the arch of your foot. But we have athletes in here that came in with orthotics, and a year after training, they can stand with arches in their feet. It's amazing. You know what I mean? So, and they're, you know, I had a kid, a soccer player, started training with us not this summer, the summer before.
Okay.
Extremely flat feet, had wore orthotics for 10 years. About maybe 9 months into training, he like blows into the recovery lab, like door storms open, and he's like, "Mike, guess what?" And I'm like, "What?" And he picks up his foot and he goes like this. "I don't have dirt on my sock right here." His sock was clean under the arch of his foot for the first time that he can remember. And he was so proud and so happy that his dirty sock looked like a regular foot arch print.
And you're like, "What? Show me."
And it was awesome. And the cool part for me was how excited he was about it.
Right.
Because I basically told, you know, his mother and his father sat down in here and he was here, and I basically said that exact statement about the hip control, and he doesn't need the orthotics. It's kind of a Band-Aid, and that if he trains hard and he works on it, he could probably not need them. You know, and I just will never forget that moment. That was the best part. He was so excited that his sock was clean under the arch of his foot for the first time. It's like, I'm sure he's got like in a frame somewhere at his house.
That's amazing.
Now,
you know what the cool part about that story is?
Well, I was excited too. Like we hugged it out. It was awesome.
Oh, you did?
No, for sure. Absolutely. I was so proud.
I could definitely see that.
He worked on his correctives and he worked hard at them for a long time. I mean, 9 months is not a short window of time, but
that's what I was going to say.
Think about that. 10 years.
Yep.
And in 9 months, he had already improved the kinematics
when you look at it like
foot.
that, when you look at it 10 years to 9 months, but when you look at it after starting treatment in 9 months, you're getting results. People, you know, I think that the general public, that's a long time.
It is.
To see results. That's my favorite part of the story.
Yeah.
Is that he saw results, you know, 9 months
Well, I mean,
later.
I think it might have been like, obviously it was gradual over that time, but it culminated in that point where I guess he was walking around in the gym barefoot. Not that our gym floor is filthy,
no, I get
but,
it.
you know, you're wearing white socks.
Working
and you get that.
out. Yeah.
He was really happy. It was really cool.
2-minute warning.
Okay, 2-minute warning. That's it.
How would you balance out asymmetrical obliques?
Asymmetrical obliques. You can't solve a unilateral problem with bilateral work. So you have to do single arm, single leg work. You have to do anti-rotation and anti-side flexion work, especially on the side that's underactive. Go. Next one.
Best way to improve hip internal rotation.
Check your psoas, work on your groin, okay? Those are really great areas to start if you're lacking hip internal rotation, and just explore that range.
And that's all the questions.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for visiting us in the lab on Recovery Lab Live, or Cue the Lab on YouTube. We really appreciate the time you guys spend.
Have a great night.
Have a great weekend. Take care.